All right, guys, good morning. Welcome. This is Top Tier Talk, our weekly team meeting for November 29th. Hopefully, you had an enjoyable Thanksgiving and you have a job. Hopefully, you had a 4-day weekend. Anyway, welcome to everybody who's here live. And then, obviously, if you're watching on the recording. Yeah, we got a couple of things that we wanted to talk about here. The first, and we do this every year about this time, talking about finishing the year strong, and then we'll get into a little bit of mindset. We were talking about that before this, before we hit record, because yeah, I mean, we've never had the most active Skype community, even though we tell everybody to get involved in Skype. Rarely do people do it. But yeah, I'd put a happy Thanksgiving in there over on Thanksgiving, I guess, and didn't get one response, not one. So talking about mindset, I think, might be a really good idea, because it seems like many members may have just kind of checked out, and that's never a good thing, because when you check out, you don't make money, right? So hopefully we'll get you to check back in. Finishing the year strong, these two kind of go along, with each other, because if you haven't been doing anything for the first 11 months, or maybe you're a newish kind of member that's just getting going, not only, momentum is a really important thing in sales in general, and finishing the year strong, whether or not that results in a sale necessarily, starts to build momentum that'll carry into 2022 and going forward. So that's kind of what you want to do. You want to always be adding new prospects to your pipeline. That means, first they become a lead. That's not your pipeline, though. That's your list. That's your autoresponder, right? But when you've had communication with them either via phone, via email, text maybe, and somebody shows a little bit of interest, then they're kind of in your pipeline, right? So that's what that means. You always want to be adding new prospects to your pipeline. And you always want to be, maybe it's a little out of order, because you always want to be generating fresh leads. You got to do that. You just have to. We recommend 100 minimum a month, okay? Because, we typically say that for every 100 leads you generate, there should be a sale in there somewhere, okay? And based on at least recent results from members' Craigslist ads, members that are placing ads and advertising, to get 100 leads, you're looking at about 12 ads, okay? So you're looking at about 3 a week. Now, this month, we obviously have Christmas week, but honestly, I don't know what day Christmas falls on, but, that week is going to be a partial week, obviously, right? So maybe we have a little bit of a short month here, but that shouldn't stop you from at least having a goal of generating 100 leads, because then that means that you should have a sale in there somewhere, okay? And, again, if you are kind of new, okay, you want to be focusing on booking 3-way calls, okay? To have your sponsor help you to have your prospects, get your prospects' questions answered, and hopefully close the sale for you. And those are really the 3 things that you want to always be doing. Okay, so generating leads, adding prospects to your pipeline, and booking 3-way calls. And if you put the numbers in your favor, meaning you don't generate 3 leads a month, you generate 100. Okay, you're going to make money with this business. Now, does anybody have any questions on that? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Are you surprised?
I'd like to add something. The 3-way calls, there's 2 reasons why, when I'm working with somebody, whether they're new or not, if they're not calling me for 3-way calls every week, then I know something's not right. What could that be? Mostly it's like Steve said, you're not doing enough numbers, enough promotion, enough lead generation, because not everybody when you send them to your website, whether they go directly or after an interview, is going to even review the website or go all the way through or be interested. But that's why you need numbers. So if you got a bunch of numbers, not a lot of people going through, and you're contacting them to try to set up these calls, you're going to set up a few every week. Or maybe you got good numbers, but you're doing it yourself. Now, if you're a pro and you've been around for a while, I know Steve does most of his himself, and so do I. That's a different story. But even then, every once in a while, I'll do a three-way just to show the prospect that we have a system. But so if you're doing them yourself and you're relatively new, not such a great idea, because usually you don't know all the answers to the questions, A, and B, you may scare some of your prospects away because they think they got to do all these kinds of things and they get a little nervous. So one way you can check the pulse of your business is look at your statistics. How many three-way calls did you do last week with your sponsor? If you did none, a little bit of a red alert. Why? Did you not get a hold of anybody? Did you not put enough leads for your system? You're not building it up? Or did you get a hold of a few people, but you're trying to do lots of everything yourself? So that three-way call stat is important, because with no three-way calls, you're probably not going to make any sales unless you get lucky, send somebody to your site and they just call you up and say, hey, I want to sign up, and they don't even have any questions. I've had a few of those over the years, but not many. Most of the time, nobody's going to get off of $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,500 without getting some questions answered and develop some rapport so they feel good about it. So just wanted to bring that up. Steve, back to you.
Yeah, good points. And don't get discouraged either. You know, I am working with a new-ish kind of member who is placing ads and booking three-way calls, and we're getting cancellations. And that just comes with the territory, particularly if you're interviewing people first and they seem super excited, but then they watch the webinar and they see how much it costs and they want to run for the hills. So that just kind of comes with the territory. You got to work the numbers there as well. You know, I would say that the cancel rate is at least 50%, you know, on, this is historically, you know, at least 50% on you know, Q&A calls. So, you know, factor that in as well. You know, all you can do is
Morning,
book 'em,
fellas.
and then we,
Good morning. This is Sherry. I have a question. I guess I don't know how to go about asking my leads.
can you hear me? Am
I can hear.
coming
Can you hear
across?
me?
I'm just wondering why you cut me off like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because you asked a
I
question earlier if we had any questions, and I put my hand up, but I guess
Oh, you
I'm
gotta
sorry,
you
go
gotta
ahead.
mute yourself. We can't see you. No, go on. I don't remember what I was talking about.
that's all right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go. What's your question?
I don't know how to go about asking my leads, you know, how to go about getting them to talk to book a three-way call. You know, I talk to my leads myself, but I think I chase them away. I don't know what's going on. I guess I need some coaching, if you could help us with, you know, how to go about asking them.
I am also your sponsor, so I guess I would be that person. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking to somebody, I mean, I recommend saying something like, you know, hey, you know, are you talking to people before they've seen the webinar or after they've seen the webinar? Jerry.
Unmute yourself if you're muted.
Yes, when they log in and I notice that they're looking at their emails and I see what they're up to, and then I give them a call, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So if you talk to them at that time, I guess the initial thing is, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself and see if you had any questions. And there's not much else you can say there. I don't think. John, do you agree with that? If you're calling leads in your system.
Yeah, if you're calling leads in your system and you're trying to call the ones that have the most score points, sometimes it takes more than one call too, or a text, but I always say something like, "Hi, Dave, I see you've been surfing around our incredible business. This is a courtesy call to let you know that if you have any questions whatsoever that I can help with, please feel free to text me or let me know. So you can make an educated decision," something like that. Normally, the first time you do that, you don't even get a response, so you have to sort of keep doing it in a nice way so you're not like a pest. So it comes off like you really sincerely want to help them. Sometimes I use the word no obligation in my text. Hey, how would you like to have a no obligation question and answer with me? There are people in this business doing really well. I'd hate to see you miss out on this because you have some confusions or unanswered questions, things like that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Now,
That is good.
the other thing I do for the people that interview people up front, if you get a chance to do that, at the end of my little 5-minute interview where I find out their why, what they liked about the ad, what attracted them, what their background is, I always let them know with a little disclaimer. Let's say the person's name is Dave again. "Hi, Dave. Dave, I just want to let you know that this is not a job that pays an hourly wage or a salary. This is a business opportunity. So I want to let you know in advance before you go to the website, there are some startup fees. Most people recoup those rather quickly if they have a good work ethic. Is that okay? Because otherwise, when you send them to the website, some people think it's like a bait and switch. They have a great interview with you and then they log in and then they go, what? And then they run for the hills or they get mad at you. So to soften the sticker price, I always say something like what I just said. And I also always say, and if you're in a situation like many people are, and you do not have the money to start up, I still highly suggest we have a follow-up Q&A. Some people come into this business 3 months later, a year later, 6 months later. So don't worry, let's have a 3-way follow-up call, get your questions answered, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
think
Love that.
it's easier to book a 3-way off of that initial interview.
Right.
I think I get what you're saying, Sherry, that it's a little tougher when they've already seen the presentation and, well, in theory at least, they've already seen the presentation because they have scores in the system. But to then not be the person that answers them, and kind of there, I would say, most of the questions are pretty basic anyway. But, then just say something like, at least for me, you could say, hey, I'd love to get the co-founder on the line or something like that, or for other people, I'd love to get, one of our top leaders on the line to, maybe to share their story too, and to answer any additional questions you might have.
I love it. Thank you.
Now, if you're interviewing people up front, I always book, some people don't, but I always recommend booking the follow-up 3-way at the end of that call. And here's how you do that. So you get to the end of the call,
Right.
And you say, well, listen, Dave, everybody has questions once they review this. Make sure you review the whole thing and go to the frequently asked questions and get those answered and watch the whole video and surf the site. But you're probably still going to have questions. So is it okay if we do a no obligation follow-up call? See, today is Monday. What's a good time in the next few days? You can give me 10, 15 minutes. It's no obligation where I can answer your calls. It's very important to get your questions answered so you can make an informed decision. 9 out of 10 people will agree and you can book the call. Some people won't. Some people that are real toughies will say, well, I don't even know if this is for me, so I'll tell you what, I'll call you. Well, you can't really do much with that guy. But most of the ones will do it. Then on the day of or the day before, I always send a text or an email. Hi, Dave, just reminding your no obligations call is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central. Highly suggest you keep that appointment and I'll answer all your questions. This may or may not be for you, but it would be really good for you if you got your questions answered, because otherwise you could be missing out on making the kind of money that you need. And then I throw their why back in their face. Maybe their why when I interviewed them was something like, well, my husband lost his job because his business due to COVID went belly up. And so we're looking for more income. I might throw that back and say, I'd hate to see you miss out on solving your situation with your husband just because you were confused and didn't understand the business or had some unanswered questions. So make sure you show up tomorrow and I'll see you then, you know, something like that. But that's for when you interview them up front. Like Steve said, you can't do that if they went directly to, then you have to just call them a couple of times and be kind of nice and say, hey, this is a courtesy call. You want to make them feel like you really care. Of course, you really should care too. It's your business. But you care about them enough, but you also don't want to go over that little fine line of sounding like you're a telemarketer and you're just trying to get their money, because they won't even come close to answering you.
Mhm.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions?
Hey guys, in the future too, yeah, if you do it, when we say, do you have questions, just unmute your mic, because I can't see anything. So I can't see when I'm sharing my screen, I don't see anything. So if you're raising your hand or something, we're probably not going to see it. So just unmute. We're a small group. All right, well, if you do, just unmute, but I'm going to throw this to John for, fundamentals of success. And I'll just kind of throw in my 2 cents first, though, that mindset in an entrepreneurial endeavor, something where you are 100% responsible for your, success or failure and the income that you're going to make is so important to have the right mindset, right? And so with that, I'll throw it to John.
Yeah, in anything, mindset is important, but especially, like Steve said, in an entrepreneurial business where you're the whole ball of wax. And what do we mean by mindset? Can we go to the next slide? I think I might have put something up. Great.
Yep.
So let's look at the definition of mindset. One's attitude, disposition, mood, intention, inclination. So if you sign up for the business, as an example, and you're at one of these attitudes of, boy, I really hope this works, because if it doesn't, my other half is going to kill me. Or I tried one of these before and it didn't work. This one better work or else. Or a little higher and better mindset, but still not great, would be, I hope this works. I'm excited. Well, that's better than the other one, but I hope is not the kind of mindset that's a winning mindset. A lot of athletes visualize and picture their results. If you're going to go out for the Olympics, you train for 4 years, you have to have a strong discipline and mindset just to train for 4 years. But then let's say you're a swimmer and you're on that podium and you're about ready to listen to the gun go off and you're doing a 100-yard freestyle. Most of these people envision them winning the gold medal and being first. And they have this mindset, not I'm hoping I'm going to be first. The best mindset is, I'm number one. I have won the gold medal. I am the best. I am first. And the same thing can apply to this. You come in with the mindset, I hope it works. I hope I can make my money back at least, or I hope I get a sale this month. That's not as good as the guy that goes in and with the make it go right attitude. I'm going to do everything that my sponsor and the people that are successful tell me. I'm going to generate 100 leads. I'm going to contact all those leads. I'm going to do three-way calls. That kind of attitude, disposition, and intention must be there so it can get past the rejections and the people that hang up and don't show up. Because if you have "I hope it works" attitude, you're a few rejections and a few no sales. And I've seen people, like I had one guy that started on a Monday, and by Thursday he was gone because he must have thought it was a quick fix thing, didn't realize it's a business that had, like any business, has to build. And he generated about 6 leads and none of them signed up, and 4 of them disappeared. And that was it. He had no stick-to-itiveness. Well, what is that? That is a very weak mindset. So take a look at your mindset and make sure it doesn't waffle on you. Some people come in with a really strong, positive mindset, and then after a week or two, they allow their mindset to slip. If you find it slipping, you got to sort of rehab it and get your mindset back to that winning mindset. Because if it's not at that, I'm a success, I make 6 figures a year, maybe another one mindset thing we'll do, affirmations, because affirmations are part of mindset. I'm a 6-figure successful lifestyle consultant rep. That's one idea of a strong affirmative mindset. And whenever it gets weak, you have to keep re-putting it back in there. And when you get up Monday morning, take a look at your attitude. Is your attitude, "Oh man, this is not working, I'm getting buyer's remorse"? That's a weak mindset. Right away, you got to change that and substitute a strong mindset, because mindset is not something that happens once and then it's there. You have to keep that mindset positive all the way. Now, it gets easier and easier as you make money. Once you've doubled your original investment, your morale is up. So it's a little easier to have a better mindset. But in the beginning, to get that momentum, you really have to have a strong mindset. Now, the mindset can be broken down into, what is your purpose for solving this? What's your why? Why did you come into this? Whenever I get a weak mindset, I always review my why. Well, wait a minute, why did I sign this up? Like in my case, I'm a professional jazz pianist, composer, and author. I wanted something to do on the side because the music biz is up and down, feast and famine. So my why was to keep the lights on and make some extra money and build some income. And I had a really burning desire to do that because I was getting sick and tired of, for 4 months, the music business fell apart and me spending all my reserves. So I had a major purpose of making that extra money as a second stream of income. And then burning desire is, how bad do you want to achieve that why? If it's just like, well, let me see if this works, that's not much of a burning desire. And the example I put down there to get people to understand what a burning desire is if you were underwater and you were a scuba diver and you were 50 feet underwater and your gear malfunctioned, your desire to get to the surface would be extremely burning. You have to, it's a necessity. You are going to not live if you don't. So it doesn't matter what's in front of you. You could see a barracuda or a shark and be scared out of your wits, but it doesn't matter what's going on in your environment at the time, because you have to get to the surface. Well, same thing with this business. Doesn't matter if 40 people never showed up to their things, or you actually had a sale and the guy said, yeah, I'm going to go. I've had this happen. I know Steve has. I'm going to go to the bank tomorrow and pay the $3,500. And the guy disappears on you and you get all bummed out about that. If you have
I had somebody call me from the post office, literally, and said, you know what? I just can't do this. I can't mail the check.
Right. I had a guy that went to the bank to do a money order. And he goes to the bank. This happened about 6 months ago. And nowadays, the government's all in your face, and they got all these rules and laws and everything with wires. So the bank teller said, okay, what's this for? and the guy didn't even understand the business enough. He goes, "Oh, it's a home-based business." And already, as if like that person is his financial advisor, said, "Well, those are really highly unsuccessful." And anyway, he kind of talked the guy out of doing it. And the guy calls me back and says, "Hey, the bank teller said blah." And I just couldn't believe that happened. I had this guy so excited and so whatever. But anyway, that's mindset. Mechanics, that's the whole infrastructure of your business. You could have the greatest mindset in the world. Let's say you're a boxer and you have this incredible mindset that you're going to be a winning, successful boxer, but you didn't really practice, you didn't work out, you don't know the fundamentals of boxing and bobbing and weaving and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to get the heck beat out of you. Same thing with this business. If you don't know the basics of lead generation, consistent lead generation, how to do phone interviews, how to follow up, those are all the income producing actions of this business, which is why we have our top tier training every week and the training website, and you have a sponsor. Whole idea is that your mechanic should get better and better. If you're consistently working this business, your interviews should be better, your lead generation should be better. You should be studying the various types of lead generation. There's not just Craigslist, there's 6 or 7 other types of ways. You should be learning the business, because when you start a regular job, which I haven't done, thankfully, in a long time, there's usually an orientation and some training that's involved, so you know your job description and what you need to do. If you don't learn the mechanics of your business, you're going to get a couple warnings and then they're going to fire you. In our business, we can't fire you because it's your own business, but guess what? You're going to fire yourself, because if you start becoming unsuccessful and you have a weak mindset and you don't learn the mechanics and you're not successful, after a certain period of time, some people in a week they're discouraged, some people can last a long time, but anyway, you're going to end up quitting the business, which means you're going to fire yourself. But the idea that the business doesn't work, that's a myth. It worked. I always say, when people say that, it worked on you, didn't it? You signed up. So if you signed up, that means other people can sign up. I wouldn't be doing this for the last 7.5 years if it didn't work. So it works if you work it correctly, and that means have a correct mindset plus correct mechanics, and that equals your potential success. So any questions, anybody? Or Steve, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, kind of just one thing, or maybe two things. But before I got involved in home-based businesses in 2009, I was a mortgage banker and broker, where my income was primarily commission-based, and at one point it was 100% commission. And sales is a roller coaster, right? Even the most successful salespeople out there have bad days or bad weeks or bad months. And, that's no different here. And the key, I think, to the successful people, as opposed to the unsuccessful people who just kind of put their tail between the legs and walk away, is being able to get through those times when things look tough and it seems like you'll never make another sale. And, it seems like, all your leads are terrible and nobody has any money and this and that. And, I'm not going to say that it's not difficult at times to try to get past that, because it seems like it's true. But, there's always, there's always money to be made at the other end if you just stick it out and you keep plugging away and keep doing the mechanics, right? And that's why these two things go hand in hand, because if you just keep doing the mechanics, even when it seems like nothing is working and it's not happening, it will. That's just sales in general, and our business is no different. And the mechanics of our business it's not rocket science, right? If you've been here a few weeks, you probably have a pretty good grasp of what you need to be doing. Like John said, be good at doing an initial interview if you're marketing that way. Know, review the FAQ to know the answers to commonly asked questions. Okay. And then the follow-up, and maybe your writing skills will get better over time, or knowing what to put in emails or whatever, however you're following up, whether it's text or phone or email. But, you're always getting better. But to know the basics of our mechanics is pretty, relatively simple.
Yeah, there's a famous expression in sales: some will, meaning with your prospects, some will, some won't, so what? Somebody else. And when I was in an MLM, my wife and I, this one top earner, he used to say, to keep your mindset positive, every time somebody says no or disappears, in your mind, thank them, because that means you're closer to the next sale. So he used to say, all right, 43 people said no, my 44th sale was $6,500. If I would have quit before I got to the 44th one, I wouldn't have made the $6,500. So in your mind, every time somebody doesn't show up or doesn't answer, or you have to almost kind of play a little game with yourself, which would be a mindset game, and say, all right, great, thanks, Dave, for not showing up. Somebody else is around the corner, and I had to go through you to get to him. So there you go. Thank you very much. It actually does help. When I first started, I thought it was silly because I had never been in sales before. I'm a jazz musician. I'm more of a creative guy who creates music and stuff, and other people try to sell it for me. I was never hands-on in sales, but I've learned a lot from doing this type of business. Anyway, hope that helps, guys. Anybody have any questions or comments? Unmute your mic and shoot away.
Well, all right. Hopefully this was helpful. Yeah, and keep plugging away. This is still a good time of year to make sales, or at least to add to your pipeline to make sales in January. But yeah, just know when things are down and you feel like things aren't working, know that you're not alone, right? It's the life of a salesperson. Again, whether you're in corporate sales or whatever kind of sales, it is what it is. And the people who are successful are the ones that can kind of get through those bad times and just keep plugging away, doing the basics, doing the boring stuff that is going to ultimately produce the income that you're looking for.
And always review your why. Your why is your nuclear engine. That's what drives your mindset. If your why is weak, or if you forgot about it, you won't have the energy. Imagine what the why would be for somebody with an Olympic dream. 4 years of training just to get up there and probably spend 20 seconds or a minute doing your thing. I mean, you got to have a strong mindset the last 4 years before you even show up to give an attempt. So just remember, review your why. And when you feel weak, keep reviewing it and hang in there. All right, guys, talk to you guys later. Have a great week.
All right, take care.